there, fellow minions! Today, I'm going to be showing you all how to animate in the concept style. So, I'm going to teach you how I animate and how I did a bunch of my concept 4 scenes. And it's going to be really cool and good. So first, I have a simple 3-second long piece of dialogue from bfdi 2.
Get digging, Nickel! The ingredients are probably underground.
I have my shovel, and I have my corny on 2 separate layers, so I can move them around very freely. If you couldn't tell already, concept follows a hand-drawn style. Very, very similar to animatic battle, if you couldn't tell. I wonder why. And if you can't do that, just practice, a lot. And to show that you can use almost anything, I'm going to draw with my mouse. But a lot of object show creators draw with their mice. Gag of Green draws with his, trackpad, which is terrifying. I'm pretty sure that Sakri and Yellow and Giru both also draw with their mice. And I always draw with my mouse, because I find it really easy. So in animation, there's these 2 kinds of ways that people move things around. It's gonna be really cool and good. And then, so there's, pose to pose. So here's pose 1, here's pose 2. We'd in between the poses, but we'd add in the in-between. So these are our 2 poses. And then there's straight ahead, which is, this guy. And then we're not even gonna, draw the pose first. You're gonna do all the in-betweens, beforehand. And so I did not draw these 2 key poses beforehand, and I drew it as I went along, just straight ahead. But so because of concept being a very simple style, I don't usually rig the characters like how you would in bfdia or BFB or tpot, where each thing is on its own layer, so you can move it individually. But since concept is a very simply animated show, I try to group them into as many layers as possible, so it does not take as much time. And if I have an image in my head, I'm gonna make this thing, I'm gonna make them reach out with the shovel and go, here you go. Then I'm gonna put these on 2 separate layers. This I don't think is gonna move, so I'm gonna keep it on a layer with things that won't move. Which I think is, this is the only thing. Oh, mouths! Okay. So in concept, we use 2 kinds of mouth loops mainly, or at least I do. One of which is BFB 1, where you make 20 frames. Here's frame 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And then you repeat that until frame 9. Closed mouth here. Put 2 keyframes for the open mouth. Squish the first one a little bit. Just repeat, rinse and repeat until the last one, where you make this one a little bit more squish, so it can loop into the first frame.
Get digging, Nickel! The ingredients are probably underground.
And if this was concept 2, that would be it, and I wouldn't change anything. However, this is not concept 2, and this is concept 5 or 6, where I want to have a cooler mouth loop. So another way that I would like to do it, it's really easy. You could just do that, squish, add closed teeth mouths, add a closed teeth here, add a stretched one right here, and then, alright, bear with me, this is gonna feel really weird, I promise. Make a longer mouth right here. So here, let's see how this looks in comparison.
Get digging, Nickel! The ingredients are probably underground.
A big thing that I like to do, I like to do pose to pose, which is why I explained that earlier. So here, I'm going to leave this arm here, and then I'm going to put the shovel over to here, and I'm going to draw a new pose for the end of this motion. Yeah, you make sure that it looks like it could belong there. Something that my friend Gorg actually told me about. It's a really nice way to do smears, okay? These are on the same layer. These are on the same layer. Put a keyframe here. Keyframe here. Make this a smear. The smear is very much so an in-between. It's meant to look very appealing, and it does. Usually. This keyframe around 4 frames after this. Then there. And now it looks like a smear frame. And then we're gonna add classic tweens onto here, because I don't usually do frame by frame anymore for concept. So it's a quart ease out, cubic ease in. It doesn't need to look super polished because concept still is a very simplistic style that doesn't need to follow very many guidelines. This conveys the motion, which is all that you really need. And if it looks good while doing so, then you've hit the mark almost exactly how you need to. At least for this specific style that I'm going for.
Digging nickel.
Don't forget to, whenever they just like pause, change the frame here to the nearest closed mouth single frame.
Digging nickel.
Then loop it back over until
Ingredients are probably underground.
we got the same exact closed mouth. Okay, in there.
Ingredients are probably underground.
Something that I do because I want to have this blink. Okay. So before anything, I am going to separate the eyebrows and the eyes onto separate layers. Corny's gonna like look over here, like all bored. So I don't really want to have the bounce blink that Michael does a lot in his stuff. I don't really have a need for it to be symbols. So only have 2 frames for the eyes, and it's moving between each key. And then have about each pose have about 4 frames to breathe. And then now we're gonna squish, and we're gonna in between that, so then it looks exactly how we want it to. Now it doesn't look like anything actually good yet. It will get there. So I have cubic out on both of these. See how like little like nice that like is? It's like so relaxed because of how Corny is relaxed in this. You may be wondering, oh Quinn, why are these legs on a very separate layer than the body or anything else in this entire like shot? That's because an easy way to just be like, guys, here is some stuff that is happening. Corny is like showing like body language and like movement. Here's an easy way to add movement to your thing. If you feel like the character needs to move in the scene, like I feel like Corny should move during the blink to over like here to show that they are looking over there, because if the eyes aren't as enough of an indicator because they're reaching outwards, so the body will move. I'll explain that command in a minute. So I nested it all together using another command, and then and whenever I really feel like I need to, I just add another keyframe, and then I use a command on it to make it recoil. Really underground. I try to not make it like look at that! Oh my god, it's gonna look so good when I recoil. No, that does not look good. That looks bad. That looks yucky. No. So whenever I use recoil, I try to make it only move like a slight bit. And the reason why I didn't move the legs with it is because otherwise the legs would probably be moving like that does not look good.
The ingredients are probably
I'm gonna really quickly explain some of the commands that I use. Because in commands, you can add stuff to here. This thing that you can't actually see right now. But this tab, commands, there's something that says run command. If I click that, it'll show up a bunch of stuff. It'll actually be really, really good and great. So one of them, I'll link all of these in the description, of course. But so, one of them is frame to graphic, which is, it's really, really useful. So this little man, we're gonna call him Steve. And Steve is going to have like a single like piece of like line boil, and it's gonna look really nice. So the only way how to make this happen, we could just copy and paste the frames. Or, easier solution, we could go into commands. My frame to graphic command, it's titled F2G in here. And then do that. Clear this frame. And now he's line boiling and smiling all day long. And then you're like, oh, how did Corny move? There's another command called recoil, where you can just move it in a keyframe. So like that keyframe and like a frame before it. If you want, I usually just do like 2 because I move my hand really fast. Recoil, and then it automatically moves for you. You don't have to do nearly as much stuff. I have a few other things, like, an automatic classic ease out. It's really useful for shortcuts, especially for content, because of how simple it needs to be and efficient. Because otherwise, episodes, like, won't be able to come out. I don't know, I find it very important to at least what I do. I try not to rely on them too much, because otherwise, if I ever lose them, I will crumble, and that would suck. A command that like jacknjellify use a lot, a command that I also use a lot is shaker, where you click that, 12, 12, 1, Y, and you're like, oh, what did you type in? It's variables for the shake. There's horizontal, vertical, rotational, and then there's, would you like it to fade, Y or N, yes or no, and then would you like it to be in sync? I hope that you would press no, because that's like my instinct. Now Corny looks like they're like yelling. If you like couldn't see this, like if they had like a line here that made them like look like they were eliminated from Teapot, you assume that they were like yelling. Yeah, see, it's so nice because it makes everything so much easier and faster and more efficient. So you don't have to spend as much time. You can spend more time on stuff that will make your cartoon look better. Oh, let me know if this actually did help, or if it just didn't, I don't know. And if it did, I might make one, but for advanced stuff. Like, for whenever I try hard things. And you can see how I do that. I'm gonna go to bed. It is 10 a.m.
Get digging, Nickel. The ingredients are probably underground.